In this lesson we're going to look at lights. So the setup is that I have the bottom layer is the deep orange solid, which is just turned on its side. Above that is the letter A, and then above that is from their perspective film, and all three of these layers are 3D enabled, and I've locked them so we don't accidentally move them. And so then I've set up 4 different lights that are set up here. To make a light, you would go to Layer, New, and then Light. And then from here you're able to choose whether you want a spotlight, a parallel light, a point light, or an ambient light. And then there are options that you can change for each. So let's take a look at them. I've put an instance of each one on the stage now. So the first one is the spotlight. I'll go ahead and turn on the eyeball here. That enabled it. Notice that here I have 2 views set up. I've got an active camera and my top view, and I've set it up to where we can see the outline of the camera the outline of the light by going up to here and view options, and then under here spotlight wireframe here is set to when selected, so here we are seeing it while it's selected. And you can see it looks like a cone, and you can see that it's kind of got it on top of just basically a spotlight, so everything else here is pretty dark. So some ambient light might be a good idea here. So ambient light is the other one. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on at the same time, and now we have a little bit more going on here where we can see all of what's around. We're not just all in the dark, and we can see where the spotlight is. I'll turn the spotlight off for a second, and this is just ambient light. So ambient light is the easiest. If we double click on that, basically here we choose a color. So if we wanted to put sort of a gel of some sort, you can see we can put a gel on the light and give a special effect that way, or just use white light. And then the intensity, we can turn it up or down, and that is really just basically turning the whole lights in the entire room higher or lower here. And so kind of dim. And cone angle and cone feather, those are spotlight options that we can change, so they don't apply to this light. And that's about it. So that's the ambient light. So I'll click OK. Oh, and make sure that this preview is clicked on. And then again, turning on the spotlight. And now we see the rendering of that. And you can see that the spotlight actually causes some shadows here. That's actually because the camera is set to cause shadows, and then we choose within our materials, through different layers, you can choose to have shadows and stuff like that happen. Just real quickly, we'll take a look here. If I go to this text selected and I type AA, that pulls up my material options, and you can see cast shadows is on, and yeah, sure enough, we can see a little shadow up here. So, and then there are other options that you can change, as far as the shininess and metal and that type of stuff, all within the materials option. Okay, so I'm going to lock that layer and go back to the spotlight. Okay, so with the spotlight selected here, you can see our cone and you can see the visual on it, and we can change where it is in space by changing the X, Y, and Z. So we have those right there. So if I move it along, you can see that I could actually pan right across this title. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right in about the middle. There we go. And if I want to see the spotlight, I'm going to double click on it. That pulls up this familiar dialog box where now the light that is chosen is a spotlight. Again, we can choose a gel here. We can adjust the intensity. The cone angle, watch this, it's set at currently 92. So if I start to slide this, you see it spreads out way. I went way too big, but you can see the spread of the light here, so that cone has gone huge. Okay, getting it down more reasonable, 142, and you can see that the cone is going to render out here. There we go. Let's just see what 120. And there's a wide spotlight right there. I'm going to bring it down again, kind of close to where it was, but you can see the different effect that that's having on the shadows. So cone angle, I'll just do 100 there. Now the cone feather is after the light comes out, whether it feathers out. So notice it feathers out here. It isn't just a solid, like you can't just see the solid definition of the shadow here. So cone feather down to 0 sort of looks like this. A little bit unrealistic, so it's a little bit too sharp there. So cone feather, you can just adjust this to your liking. There we go, 50%. Then the fall off, if we don't have this, fall off is basically the after the light's going, how far it goes before it, goes back to being the ambient light or dark. And inverse square clamp does it for you, more of a natural fall off there. If you choose smooth, then you can change the radius and the fall off distance. And you can see here it kind of brought it down. So if I increase the radius here, then you see that it increases the radius, and then the fall off distance I can also increase that to get more light. And you'll see that render now. There we go. And so that fall off distance goes beyond the radius. So the radius is this first part I adjusted, and the fall off is what goes beyond that. And cast shadows is turned on as well here. So and then we have shadow darkness. So how dark these shadows are on the thing. So I just turned it up here to make it appear even darker. Or diffusion. So if you have diffusion, then it's gonna the fading off there. Okay, so that's quite a bit about the spotlight. A really cool one there. Also, you can get to parameters by just dropping down the layer. So here's light options, and they've got all sorts of fun stuff that you can do inside of here. But they're basically the same sort of stuff that we just adjusted by going to our dialog box. Okay, and let's look at point now. We'll go ahead and turn point on at the same time. Now that adds a whole nother dimension to our composition now. And let's set this to fit. And maybe we need to zoom out a little bit here to see more what's going on. Okay, so we've got the spotlight that's putting a shadow on, and then we have this other light that seems to be going everywhere. And so there's a whole lot of different interactivity that's going on here now. Let's go ahead and turn off the spotlight so we can see the ambient light and the point light. Notice that the point light is just standing here behind the A, and it's just shooting out as like if it were a star, or a light bulb just floating there. So in 365 degrees, this is going like that. We'll take a look at that by using a camera. So let's go and check it out in a camera view here. So I'm just going to hit the option drag here and sort of zoom around this. And you can start to see that this is the light right here, so it's just casting all this shadow right here. So we're kind of sneaking around the backside to see this. Okay. So that is the pin light. Let's turn the pin light off and turn the parallel light on. And here's the parallel light, and you can see that the parallel light, and I'm going to use the camera in here again to kind of take a look at the bottom, is just shooting this straight light, so it's not like it's diffusing out. So it doesn't like it's diffused, it's just straight. Now I've actually gotten upside down. I'm there. Yeah, oh, I'm on the opposite side of that. Did you see that? How interesting is that? Okay, let's see. There we go. Alright, getting back. We just went all the way around that world there. Okay. So this light just shoots this straight, and it's just this parallel light, and it doesn't fall off. Let's look at the options. Here we change the intensity of that, and we can change the color, and then we have the same fall off options. But actually, if we just say, you know, none, the light just goes straight on forever. There's that back. How big this is as far as the radius, and cast shadows, and we can also adjust the shadow darkness with this as well. So that same kind of thing, you just don't have the diffusion really like you do with the spotlight, and that gets you oriented to all of the different cameras.